I was halfway down the driveway when I heard my daughter scream. Not a playful shout, a real scream, sharp, scared, raw. I looked up and saw a man in a neon vest bending toward her, reaching for her wrist. Another stood behind him with a clipboard, blocking her path like he owned the place. And my little girl, my 7-year-old, was frozen, clutching her backpack like it was a shield. Something inside me snapped. I didn't think, I didn't breathe, I just moved. Step away from her, I yelled, and my voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded like every instinct a father has when his child is in danger. The man hesitated, then tried to smile. Sir, relax. We're with the HOA. We just need to know. No HOA worker reaches for a child. My gut knew it. My body knew it. And the moment I stared into that man's eyes, he knew I knew. He and his partner exchanged a look. Not nervous, but calculated. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't about rules or fines. This was something bigger, and my daughter was never supposed to see it. But let me start at the beginning. Before we dive in, let me know where you're listening from today. Most mornings in our house were calm. I'd wake up early, start coffee, and let Emma sleep a little longer. She'd wander into the kitchen with wild hair and sleepy eyes, complaining about homework or asking if we could stop for muffins on the way to school. Simple, peaceful moments, exactly what I worked for all my life. I wasn't a superhero or some action movie father. I worked in data security. I lived quietly, thought logically, and made sure Emma's life felt safe and steady. That morning had the same routine. Almost thought Emma was smiling. She had drawn a little purple star on the back of her hand and told me it was her good luck charm for a science quiz. I laughed, ruffled her hair, and reminded her to eat her banana on the way to school. Everything normal, everything predictable, except the street. I didn't understand it immediately, but as we stepped outside, something in my brain began rearranging. Small details, things I wasn't consciously looking for. The neighbor's dog wasn't barking. No kids were out early like usual. No one jogging, no car doors closing, just silence. Too much silence. Years in security work had taught me to trust that uncomfortable feeling. Patterns matter. So does the moment a pattern breaks. I walked a few steps behind Emma, eyes scanning casually, trying not to alarm her. She was humming some pop song under her breath. She didn't see the van roll forward an inch when she got closer, but I did. Something inside me clicked. This wasn't random. This wasn't normal. This was a setup. The gate to our street was about 40 feet from the driveway. Usually Emma would wait there for her friend Alicia, and they'd walk the short route to the school bus stop. Today, she was alone. Alicia had texted she'd be late. I watched the van closely. Still no movement now, but the engine idling softly told me everything. Someone was inside, watching, choosing a moment. My mind switched instantly into the trained, analytical mode I hoped I would never need in real life. License plate covered. Windows, dark. Position. Angled for a quick grab or fast exit. I felt anger mixing with fear, not panic, but a cold, sharp awareness. I picked up my walking pace, casually, trying not to spook anyone watching. I called. Hold up a second. She turned, confused but obedient, stopping just short of the sidewalk. Then the van door cracked open, not fully, just enough for a shadow to shift behind it. That was it. The moment, confirmation I dreaded. Every instinct in me lit up at once. Emma, come here, I said, voice low, controlled, but urgent. She blinked, still unaware. What? Why? Just come here, now. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight. She felt it. She started back toward me. Then the van door opened wider. I saw a hand, a glove, a figure shifting forward. My heart slammed so hard I could hear it. Not fear, age. Someone was trying to take my child. Not today. Not ever. Everything happened in 3 horrifying seconds. The van shot forward. The side door slid open completely. A man leaned out, broad shoulders, hood up, hand reaching. Emma, run. I shouted. She froze for a split second, then turned and bolted back toward me. The man lunged. I sprinted. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't planned. It was pure kind that explodes out of a parent when their child is in danger. I closed the distance in a heartbeat, shoving Emma behind me with one hand as I put myself between her and the van. The man grabbed my arm. Big mistake. I twisted hard, using his momentum against him. He tried to pull me off balance, but I drove my elbow into his ribs with everything I had. He let out a grunt, enough to loosen his grip. Get back. I yelled at Emma again. The driver cursed and tried to speed away even as the grabber was halfway in and halfway out. He kicked at the ground trying to get back into the van. It fishtailed, tires screeching. For a moment, it seemed like he might fall out onto the pavement. Then the door slammed shut and the van swerved violently around the corner. Gone. Silence returned, but it wasn't peaceful anymore. I stood there, chest heaving, adrenaline buzzing through my veins. Emma clinging to my back and shaking. Dad, what was that? Who were they? I didn't answer right away, because I already knew. This wasn't random. This wasn't a lone predator. This was organized, and I wasn't going to pretend otherwise. I marched Emma back into the house, locking the door behind us. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the anger boiling beneath every breath. Someone tried to take my daughter. I checked every window, every lock, every corner of the yard. Then I sat Emma at the kitchen table, kept my voice calm for her sake, and poured her water. You're safe. I'm here. Nothing's going to happen to you, okay? She nodded, eyes wide and scared, but trusting me completely. That trust made me even more determined. I called the police. Then I called my sister to come stay with Emma. But while waiting, I paced through the living room replaying the moment again and again. The glove, the way the van was angled, the coordination between driver and grabber. This wasn't sloppy. It was practice. And then I found the first clue. I checked our front camera again, hoping it captured the plate. It didn't, but something else caught my eye. A second van across the street I hadn't noticed. Same model, same color, a decoy. They had a backup. Who uses a backup vehicle for a kidnapping unless they've done this before? A cold realization slid into place. This was a network, a ring, a full operation, and my daughter had been targeted by mistake or worse, on purpose. The police arrived quickly, 3 officers and a detective named Harris. He was calm, sharp-eyed, that rare kind of officer who actually listens. I explained everything, step by step, every detail. Emma added what she saw, though most of it was a blur for her. When I mentioned the backup van, Harris stopped writing. You're sure it was the same make and model? Absolutely. He exchanged a look with one of the other officers, one I didn't miss. What is it? I asked. He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. We've been tracking a group operating in 3 nearby counties. They've been abducting kids between the ages of 10 and 14, always using unmarked vans. Always coordinated, always early morning. I felt the floor under me disappear. Why wasn't the neighborhood alerted? I demanded. We didn't want to cause panic until we confirmed the pattern. I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. Well, consider it confirmed. Harris exhaled, clearly frustrated with how little power he had to change the system. We're putting out an alert now. Patrols will increase immediately. I nodded, but inside the anger twisted into something else. Purpose. If these people thought they chose the wrong family, they were mistaken. I wasn't going to wait for them to come back. When the officers left, Emma was finally calmer. My sister hugged her tight and promised to stay with her for the day. I stepped outside again. Same street, same houses, but nothing felt normal anymore. The quiet morning had turned into something else entirely, a battlefield I never asked for, but was now standing in the middle of, and I realized something very simple. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was preparing. I checked cameras, reviewed footage, mapped the van's escape direction, wrote down every detail Harris mentioned. I would cooperate with the police. I'd give them everything, but I wouldn't rely on them alone. I had spent years in data security tracking systems, tracing hidden networks, finding the holes and structures nobody else noticed. People thought my job was boring. It wasn't. It trained me to see the invisible lines that connect criminals, money, and movement. Whoever these people were, I was going to help bring them down. Not just for Emma, for every kid they had taken. I made one promise, as I stood alone in that driveway where the van had tried to steal my world. They don't get a second chance at my family. What I didn't know, what I couldn't know, was that the trail I was about to follow wouldn't just expose a kidnapping ring. It would uncover a much bigger criminal network, and I was already in the middle of it.